And my very first thing every day is prayer, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. I want to dedicate today's show to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who made his transition, and just really sending love to the family of Jesse Jackson. Of course, Jesse Jackson Jr. has a show on this radio station, but to all of us, because Jesse Jackson Jr., represents the physical manifestation of his legacy, but the ethereal and political and emotional and social impact of a Jesse Jackson. I think even though we know his name and we know who he is, I still think his impact is underreported in some ways. Maybe not now that he's gone to the land of the ancestors, but certainly prior to that, Jesse Jackson was actually a good friend of my father, the late Amiri Baraka. And so I grew up knowing about him, knowing his presence in the world. And then from college days, we were high school, college days, we were supporters and fans of Jesse Jackson because his America included us. None of the other Americas that were being put forth by politicians included us. Reverend Jesse Jackson's America was my America. Yes, it was black and black-centered, but it was a rainbow coalition. That was my America. And so, of course, I related to that. And I remember when he came to my campus, it was like there was a rapper there. People were going crazy. There's a huge crowd. Of course, this was when he was running for president. And I remember, this is going way back, early Bay Area days, myself and Hammer, the rap artist, then known as MC Hammer, and a bunch of less famous Bay Area artists did a benefit for Jesse Jackson. I think we actually did several, but one of them was really big, and Hammer performed at it. And it was exciting. I think that was probably the first rap political fundraiser event that I was at, which was ironically organized partly by me. But it was a huge success. We were able to donate some money to the Jackson campaign. And if you go back in time, you'll remember that, or even if you're not that old, you can Google it, look it up, read a book. You'll see that, first of all, hip hop and rap wasn't taken seriously as a force in politics, a force even in the music industry at that time. So we kind of came out of nowhere. And it was emblematic of the way that Jesse Jackson brought us out of the woodwork. And he had so many people that were devoted to him or believed in the cause of Jesse Jackson for president, Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition, fighting for the working class, fighting for a true multicultural democracy before it was fashionable to do so. It's a testimony to how powerful that force was, right? And how we were inspired. We were young, we were teenagers talking about let's do a fundraiser for Jesse Jackson. And then, of course, anyone who is a student of history knows that without Jesse Jackson, there is no Barack Obama. There is no black president yet in the United States of America. Without Jesse Jackson, that does not happen. Of course, the phone lines are open if you want to share your own reflections, your own dedications. Today's show being dedicated to Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition and what he brought to America, what he brought to this country. I think because my father was later in life, I mean, of course, they like to freeze my dad in his more nationalist early period, but he goes on to be an internationalist and a socialist. And because he had that international perspective, which included solidarity with other oppressed groups, they were philosophically aligned in some significant ways. And my father was a big supporter of Jesse Jackson both times that he ran, and as was I. And I also think that says something about his appeal. He had that intergenerational appeal, right? Because the generation that marched with Dr. King knew and loved Jesse Jackson as part of the civil rights movement, but the Gen Xers that came under them were also very caught up with his incredible, charismatic, and eloquent oratory, his inclusive vision of the world, his disciplined and scientific organizing, all of those things that he modeled, and to great impact. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. If you want to weigh in. The way the show goes today, it is also Fat Tuesday, by the way. So tomorrow, I guess tomorrow is a big day, right? Tomorrow, later tonight, you've got Lent coming, you've got Ramadan coming. I guess today is the Chinese New Year. We bring in the year of the fire horse. I don't know a lot about that, I'm not going to lie, but I've read it. And sometimes I look at the Chinese animal horoscope, but I really don't know much about it. But it's here today. But it's also a Talking Point Tuesday. So the way we do things, hour one, we look local. But today I've got lots of time in hour one. So if you want to call, reflect on Jesse Jackson or something that's moving you, you're allowed and welcome and actually encouraged to do so at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You can call any hour. Hour two, we typically go national, international, and beyond. And today we'll have Dr. Charles Davis III joining us. And then hour three, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Today, we are looking at music history in honor of this Black History Month with Ricky Vincent, a renowned music historian. So a culturally and politically rich show. This is the perfect time to call if you have something to say, and most especially if you want to give some love to the late, it sounds weird, but that's what it is, the late Jesse Jackson. And I think Fahima is on the phone to do just that. Good morning, Fahima.
Baragani and K. Pasa, Dominique. Just very briefly, I just wanted to share my personal reflections on Reverend Jackson. One, he was the first person I had the opportunity to vote for president. I believe may very well been my first time voting. Secondly, although I didn't know him, I did have the opportunity to meet him on more than one occasion. After having voted for him nearly a decade later, he was a presence at the Congressional Black Caucus, on panels and in attendance, and he was a larger than life figure. Also, I just would like to share that in 2021, when the students were protesting at Howard University, he was there at Blackburn Center with the students, supporting them, providing them encouragement. And lastly, I did happen to develop a personal relationship with his mother-in-law, Miss Gertrude, when I was a graduate student at Howard University. I lived in LaDroit Park, and this is his wife's mother, Miss Gertrude. As I would be off the campus, I would stop in a store to get a muffin and coffee, and Miss Gertrude would be in there holding court, and we'd often talk about what we had just saw earlier on Democracy Now! And Reverend Jackson was a cultural ambassador. As you know, Dominique, he assisted in releasing hostages, in negotiating hostages release in a number of instances, Iran, Yugoslavia, etc. And he will always be our first Black president, because many people thought around the world that he was indeed our Black president. And as you mentioned, there wouldn't have been a Barack Obama without a Jesse Jackson. And I just say, rest in power for a job well done. And that's all I wanted to share, Dominique. And thank you for allowing me to do so.
Yeah, thank you for calling. Thank you for sharing. I know, for especially Gen X, he is, and I would say boomers too, he's etched in the landscape of our lives in a lot of different places. So, this is a big moment of loss. And 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. 800-920-1580. There's also a opportunity to weigh in our YouTube chat, which is in the comments section, youtube.com, KBLA 1580. Of course, you can follow me everywhere at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. And of course, we are opening the phone lines to talk about not just Jesse Jackson, but certainly that's a big part of today. We always look what's going on around here. And tonight is the official opening night of the Pan-African Film Festival. It's actually, the film started yesterday, but the official opening night is tonight. RZA's film, A Spoonful of Chocolate, is at the Directors Guild. It's a gala red carpet type deal. And so you can go to paff.org, paff.org, if you want to find out more. A project that, has had very, very little play. So it's a rarely seen film, and that's going to be tonight. The Arts Festival is going on at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. I haven't got over there yet, but maybe today will be that lucky day. For Fat Tuesday, I'll go shopping. And then there's art, there's, always crafts, clothing, lots of great stuff to get. And then, of course, you can find all the films. Black Lives Matter Grassroots is having their special event on Friday, a world premiere, and you can go to paff.org for that. I will be there. I will be moderating the talkback after. So we're going to definitely want to see you there if you can stand the rain, as they say. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available Available right now at KBLA1580.com.
I hang around my boy. He been married for 6 years. Videotaped his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down the aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church. Getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
KBLA Talk 1580 thanks LA City Council members Curran D. Price Jr. and Heather Hutt for being the presenting sponsors at this year's Black History Month luncheon. Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're KBLA Talk 1580.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hi, I'm Tavish Smiley, and I have some news. The room is full. Our founding members cohort on the art of conversation has begun, and I could not be more energized by the professionals who said yes to mastering the craft. Their dedication to curating great conversations reminds me why I do this work. Now, if you wanted to join us and did not make it in time, I want you to hear this. The next cohort is coming. I do not have the firm dates yet, but I do have a waiting list. And everyone on that list will receive early access and special discounts when enrollment opens. After almost 40 years of interviewing world leaders and cultural icons, I am teaching everything I know. Don't miss your chance to be in the next room. Go to TavishTalks.com and get on the waiting list right now. That's TavishTalks.com. The conversation continues. Will you be part of it?
Yeah, man.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, we're getting back to me, and we are getting back to you. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. It is, it is Fat Tuesday. It's not something I've ever celebrated. I'm not a New Orleans, but I know there's a lot of folks here in LA that celebrated big time. And so happy Fat Tuesday to you. If you are practicing Muslim, Ramadan Mubarak to you. And if you're Chinese or a follower of the Chinese New Year, happy year of the fire horse. It sounds really dramatic, the fire horse. I'm sure it must be something intense. I can't wait to read about it, but I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to lie. So typically we look what's going on the left coast side of town today, and we also tie it into national and international more and more because it's hard to do anything but that. I am one of the contrary voices, unpopular opinion when it comes to the so-called graffiti towers in downtown LA. I think they're beautiful. I think they're works of art. I believe that the city should buy those and preserve those as as low-income housing, but also as an art piece. I see tourists down there all the time taking pictures in front of those towers. Not just tourists, locals too. It's called Oceanwide Plaza. That's what it's really known as. But it looks like they're actually close to selling the thing because they've worked out the disputes with the creditors. This is, of course, a project that was shut down back in 2019 because the developer, a Chinese developer, coincidentally enough, ran out of money, right? So they came up with an exit agreement, a bankruptcy agreement that was signed last week, and it works out some of the money fights there. And now they're saying they're going to probably sell it if they haven't already done so. And of course, they'll quote unquote clean up that graffiti. But the irony of that is just crazy to me. You know, steps away from museums where people come to see similar art, right? Whether it's Basquiat or whoever it might be. We're now calling this vandalism. It's the randomness of the state when it comes to art. And it's something just like violence in pop culture that I've been arguing about since Jesse Jackson was running for president, since I was a little kid. Because the thing about it is, those are parts of our culture. You know, if someone copying graffiti artists makes graffiti lettering, it's high art, but when we do it, it's vandalism. If somebody not black throws paint at a canvas and makes a random design, it's worth millions. When we do it, it's trash. So I think we have to stand up for our art. Yes, breakdancing is dancing. Maybe not what you saw in the Olympics last time, but the original flavor. And I think that the Ocean property is a giant work of art, Oceanwide Plaza. But apparently they will be cleaning it up, and all the 3.8 million. I'm used to those Trump numbers. They all are B or T, billions or trillions. 3.8 million to clean up the building. We spent so-called cleanup in 2024. A little more than $2.5 million for security. So now we're at the $5 million mark for a property that is not even owned by the city or that doesn't benefit the people of Los Angeles. And so-called graffiti abatement. $1 million to build the fences. Some of that we will get back, I guess, in this deal. But most of it, we just chalk it up as a loss. And any further money spent to so-called abate the graffiti, to me, is just simply a waste of money. We were talking yesterday about District Attorney Nathan Hochman, who is the conservative DA that now sits in LA. If you're not familiar, he unseated DA George Gascon, who was kind of swept in on a wave of progressive district attorneys, that wave now being for the most part clawed back by conservative recall movements and other such that capitalize on the old law and order playbook, scare voters into supporting something that's not in their best interest. That's what happened in California. We passed Prop 30. Well, y'all did. I didn't vote for it. And we got a conservative DA. Well, it was surprising to hear him criticizing ICE and saying that, this is last month, saying that they had detained a member of his office staff, an employee. And now some folks are calling him out and saying, well, if he was falsely detained, why aren't you lodging a complaint against the Department of Justice or ICE or Homeland Security? And some people, including Niyama Ramani, who's a member of the West Coast Trial Lawyers, according to LA Magazine, they are saying, questioning whether or not that ever really happened, which is wild. She says someone is either mistaken or lying. I hope it's an innocent mistake because the public deserves to hear the truth. So she says it's strange to hear the district attorney accuse the federal government of wrongful conduct. Now, the Department of Homeland Security has denied this, saying it never happened. And she says it's strange that there would be no further word or resolution on this when, in fact, the DA has accused the feds of acting improperly. News, traffic, and sports, then more on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. has died at 84. His family says he passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones, and remembered him as a man whose belief in justice and equality uplifted millions. Jackson's fight for civil rights continued right through the final years of his life. For example, after Derek Chauvin was convicted in the murder of George Floyd, he spoke with CNN about whether or not he thought justice was served.
It's a step in the right direction. You know, we've been battered by legal lynchings. Trayvon Martin in Florida, Michael Brown in First Missouri, Diallo in New York, Aubrey in Brunswick, Georgia. Now we'll look at the case here in Minneapolis. Super tired of being used as target practice.
Jackson traveled to Minneapolis, calling the moment emotional, but reminding the nation that we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters and not die apart. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Escape the confines of the city for the expansive beauty of the Santa Ynez Valley with a short 2-hour drive up the coast. Let Chumash Casino Resort be your destination getaway. Welcome to freedom. Go to chumashcasino.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA All-Star break did not move LeBron any closer to making a decision about his future. The 41-year-old veteran, in his NBA record 23rd season, said he has no idea if this will be his final season with the Lakers or if he wants to jump into free agency and finish his career with another team. LeBron is in the final year of a 2-year deal with the Lakers that's paying him $52.6 million. Father Time is knocking on LeBron's door, and he hears those knocks, but there has not been a significant drop in LeBron's performance. Even though injuries this season have sidelined LeBron for 18 games, he's averaging 33 minutes, 22 points, 7.1 assists, and shooting 50% from the floor. He is still one of the NBA's marquee players. LeBron will certainly be quizzed again about his future after the season. The thing to keep on your radar is how different his answer might be. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you indeed. As usual, we got a lot to talk about. As usual, you are welcome in at 800-920-1580. I was just talking about this situation with the DA. First, the LA Times wrote this article. We were speaking on it yesterday, briefly, about how the current DA, Nathan Hochman, appears to be, well, the trend line that he's setting is that he's moving away from holding cops accountable. Even when the cases were already brought by the former DA, either he lost those cases, which, okay, let's say he made a good faith effort. We don't know. He seems to be also lessening the charges and dismissing cases, so hard to tell. But the DA pushed back against that. He said, no, I'm only bringing cases I can win. And so he's mostly focusing on the cases that he's bringing against cops are like fraud or impropriety on the job, maybe drinking on the job. So it sends a weird message. It's like, yeah, we don't want you to drink or steal money, which, okay, good. But also, it's fine if you want to kill people. It feels like that's the message, especially when we look at the case of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell. Of course, that's Torrance, the infamous Torrance Police Department. Well, the former DA felt that that case was ready to go, and now this DA is trying to drop the charges. And this is something that Black Lives Matter has been working on, Black Lives Matter Grassroots, for years, attending those Torrance City Council meetings every week, and that the family of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell has been working for since his death. And so it would be a huge loss if it ends up being dismissed. And it appears to be part of a pattern. So this happens first, and then there's people in LA County, voters, who are calling out the DA, and one of them goes so far, this one attorney who is on IG, saying that he'll run against him. It's the Simon Law Group. His name is Robert Simon. He says he'll personally run against him. Of course, it's going to be a minute because he just got elected. Calling on him to step up or step down. And why are you letting the DHS get away with this? In other words, if in fact they did wrongfully detain an employee of the district attorney's office, what are you going to do about it? Simon says he should go after criminal charges against those federal agents. And there's a couple of them that are facing charges in connection with Minneapolis. Now, Minnesota, I don't see that happening here in LA, but it's really interesting that he's being called out for that and having pressure put on him for that. And it is really strange that he would make an announcement. One of our employees was wrongfully detained. Then the Department of Homeland Security basically called him a liar, saying, Hochman, that never happened. What are you talking about? That's fabrication. And then he just goes quiet. If I accuse the feds of jailing, detaining Zoe Williams or, Tavis, and then they say, no, we didn't, I'm not going to just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to, what are you talking about? This is what happened. Be accountable or have some consequences. In other words, if the DA won't bring charges to protect their own employees, who will they bring charges to protect? And I'm going to guess nobody, possibly the President of the United States. It's about as far as that goes. Carl is asking, do I have a jazz song for civil rights leaders? I think there are lots of jazz songs for civil rights leaders. I'm assuming you're talking about a dedication to the late Jesse Jackson and the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And I would think gospel, though. He is a reverend. But there are lots of those songs we can dedicate. If you have one you want to dedicate, you can put it in the chat, or you can call us at 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Like all civil rights leaders, like all political activists that are in the bright spotlight of national and international politics, Reverend Jackson took his share of critique. But if you look at the totality of his life, as someone who was able to be effective, step in, as Fahima said, in situations and negotiate behind the scenes, whether it's a hostage release or a corporate standoff between corporations and boycotters, protesters, he was very, very effective, right? So I remember him fondly, even though, he first came into my consciousness as a little kid because he was friends with my dad, but also because of the work that he did. He was a hero on my college campus, and when he came to school, that's how he was received. Jesse Jackson was also a very handsome man, and a lot of people swooned over him. But it wasn't, obviously he was a role model for men and women in the sense that he was an effective political organizer who was able to use his oratory gifts to move people across color lines, across class lines, and that wasn't afraid to embrace what was right even when it wasn't popular, right? Because LGBTQ plus people were welcome in the Jesse Jackson coalition when it wasn't popular. It wasn't a thing. Everybody and their mama wasn't out on TV. It's not like it is now. And he's a reverend, right? There were always, when I was around Reverend Jackson, I always saw him with a lot of black people, of course, but also a lot of Latinos and a lot of Asians who supported this man and his vision for America for decades. It wasn't like, oh, we're into this because he's running for president once or even twice. No, they supported his vision and the Rainbow Coalition throughout his life. And then, of course, Jesse Jackson was a Libra, always going to be dapper and popular, right? And he always had a big birthday party that was the talk of the town and was actually a political fundraiser, but it was also quite the social event. So, as I said at the top of the show, I dedicate today's show to him. And I'm really grateful to Reverend Jackson because as a young activist doing whatever the heck I was doing, we were fighting against apartheid. We were fighting for justice in Central America. We were fighting racism here in America. We wanted a black president back then. And he was inspiring. He made me bolder. He made me feel that there was, similar in the sense to when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, when he talks about all the different types of black people, every shade, every color, every temperament, and how we're all part of what it is to be black. And Reverend Jackson was able to make everyone feel included and realize that we all had a role to play in bringing justice. We all had a role to play in black liberation. We all had a role to play in fairness for the working class, right? And the oppressed. And he was able to articulate that in such a powerful way that people got on board. And this is before we ever had a black vice president or president. It was before we ever had the so-called racial reckoning of 2020, where people started to actually talk about systemic racism in the mainstream and talk about white supremacy in the mainstream. Jesse Jackson was able to take liberation conversations that would normally happen at a rally with black people or at a kitchen table of activists and bring it into the mainstream consciousness in a way that resonated with the working class, even if they weren't black. And I'm trying to think who's been able to do that ever since. I mean, effectively do that ever since. You could say Barack Obama, but Barack Obama was a moderate. He wasn't talking about the laboratory things that Jesse Jackson was talking about. Barack Obama was a moderate. We knew he was a moderate Democrat when we elected him. I always felt that was, at that point in our history, probably the only way we would have been able to elect a black president was someone a little bit more moderate. But maybe not. Jesse Jackson came close. And he was not a moderate. He was a progressive. He was solidly progressive his entire life. But yet somehow he was able to reach through the rhetoric and talk to people and touch people and move people. And that, for me, was an emboldening and important example. Of course, you could say, oh, well, you grew up around Amiri Baraka and Amiri Baraka and Diana Prima, so you you should have been empowered from the womb. Yeah, true, but, if they're your parents, it's not the same. It's like, oh, yeah, that's dad, that's mom. But Jesse Jackson, and of course, he's a little younger than my parents. Yeah. 800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in. I hope, and I'm seeing the tributes in the press, and, you figured that because he was a towering figure for decades, right, reaching back to the King era. But I hope that in our community, in Black America, in progressive America, that he gets his flowers and that we remember, that we remember to clock the progress and not just the headlines, the caricatures, the critiques, but the tremendous contribution, the outsized giant footprint. True, he was at Taste of Soul. E.C. Courtney says he was with us at Taste of Soul in 2015. Jesse Jackson was a ginormous influence on American culture. Paul says Obama was easily the greatest president of my lifetime, and I'd take him over that thing in the White House again right now. Absolutely. Every day, even for a third term, which I don't actually believe in. I think we stick with the Constitution. I know it wasn't like that originally, but we stick with the 2 terms. That's what I say. And let's get some term limits on the extreme court, too. But I agree. Of course, he easily the greatest president of our lifetime. But there is no Barack Hussein Obama without Jesse Jackson. It just doesn't happen. Jesse Jackson not only normalized a black man running for president, you could say, yeah, well, Shirley Chisholm did it back in the day. True. But first of all, she didn't have the widespread acceptance that Jackson had. She didn't come within striking distance of the nomination for the Democratic Party. She didn't mobilize people in mass the way that Jackson did. And secondly, she did not continue to have the kind of impact, and this no shade to Shirley Chisholm in that sense, but Jesse Jackson is a foundational figure in American civil rights and in progressive movements. And I'm so glad that I was able to be there at the Democratic National Convention to see him get his flowers, in 2024. If you want to weigh in, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, rest in power, Jesse Jackson, rest in power. I'm smiling because I'm just, when you start to review the times that you talked to someone or the times that you met someone as influential as Jesse Jackson, it brings back so many memories. And memories of him are abundant in my life, from little kid to very recently. As I said, the last time I saw him was in 2024 at the event that paid tribute to him. It was put on by progressives at the Democratic National Convention. Bernie Sanders was there. Nina Turner, lots of folks were there paying tribute to the Reverend Jesse Jackson. He was there as well. He was fighting with his health, fighting for his health, and he was in a wheelchair, but he was still fired up when he got on stage and addressed the crowd. Uncle Charlie's meta auditions reminds me that FDR served 4 terms. Yeah, that's why I said not in the original Constitution. They did modify to where you could only have two terms, and I do think we should keep it that way. He's E.C. Courtney, who says he has pictures of me and Reverend Jesse Jackson at the Taste of Soul. Okay, I don't have those, but that was... This was a man who used to be on Street Science when I had that show. And then on the front page, I did not have the honor of talking to him on this show frequently, but as he was, his health was waning. But I am quite sure that Mr. Tavis Smiley will have lots of Jesse Jackson conversations to share with you today, and I'm looking forward to hearing those, because Tavis is nothing if not an historian. He archives, he preserves, he unearths, and he documents, and that is so important, and I think all of us see the importance of it right now in this moment, as our history is... They're trying to erase it, but it's not going to happen. I guarantee you, we are not going to let that happen. Trump saying Jesse was a force of nature like few others before him. He had much to do with the election without acknowledgement of credit of Barack Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. Whoa, can we get President Trump on Messy Monday? I mean, the man just passed, and you're going to be messy and say who he didn't like and like. This was from Truth Social, but it harkens back to the days when the president was actually a Democrat, and he knew the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Now, I don't know about that. He can't stand President Obama, but that's our president now. That's just how he rolls. He ran for president in 1984, 1988, but certainly he made a blueprint, and actually I wish that the President Obama had followed the blueprint in the terms of keeping that organization alive throughout his presidency and beyond, because we might not be saddled with Project 2025 and the Trump administration had he kept his political organizer, community organizer hat on while being president. Hindsight is 2020. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and then we'll be joined by Dr. Charles Davis III, a powerful historian with some Black History Month words, and I'm sure some insight on the Reverend that goes a little deeper than what I could bring. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. has died at 84. His family says he passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones, and remembered him as a man whose belief in justice and equality uplifted millions. Jackson's fight for civil rights continued right through the final years of his life. For example, after Derek Chauvin was convicted in the murder of George Floyd, he spoke with CNN about whether or not